What up, guys? We're back with another one. We're trying something a little different this time. I listen to a lot of horror stories and kind of like confession videos, like at work. Like they're all from Reddit. You already know. Like this, it's crazy. I like it. I enjoy it. Sometimes it gives me a little fear, a little shiver up my spine. You know what I mean? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoying the gameplay in the back. I'm gonna read maybe like one or two stories of like horror stories, and maybe in the next video I'll do like confession ones. But this is something different, and I might mess up, so I apologize in advance. I could read, guys. I could read, but maybe I kind of go a little too fast for what I think I could read. But so let's just get into it. My mother's rules after dark. My mother had rules, not normal ones like curfews or chores. Hers were specific. Never open the windows after sunset. Never answer if someone calls your name from outside. Never look too long into the dark. And the other one she repeated every single night without fail: do not step outside after dark. Not for anything, not for no one. She didn't say it, but she gripped my shoulders when she did, her nails pressing into my skin, her wide, restless eyes searching mine like she was trying to make sure I understood something she couldn't quite explain. I used to think she was insane. Most people would. She barely slept. She paced around the house at night, peering through the cracks in the curtains, muttering under her breath. Sometimes I'd catch her standing perfectly still in the hallway, head tilted slightly, like she was listening to something I could not hear. Her hair was always unkempt, hanging in thin strands around her face. Her eyes, oh God, her eyes were always too wide, too alert, like prey. They had survived too many close calls. Sometimes I would question if she were even my real mother. Maybe I I'm some kind of kidnapped child like Rapunzel. You don't understand. She whispered sometimes. It only takes one mistake. I was 17. I thought I understood everything. The night I broke the rule, it didn't feel like a big decision. It felt small, petty even. I just wanted air. The house felt suffocating, thick with her paranoia, her constant watching. I needed to prove to myself more than anything that she was wrong. That's where that that there was nothing out of there. I'm sorry, I messed that up. It was quiet when I opened the door. Not normal quiet. The kind of quiet that feels like it's listening. I hesitated for a second, glancing down the hallway. Her door was closed. No movement, no pacing. I figured she was finally resting. I stepped outside. The air was cold, but not in a way that made sense. It wasn't the chill of the night. It felt deeper, like something pulling heat away from my skin. I exhaled, watching my breath curl in front of me. See? I muttered. Nothing? The street was empty. No cars. No lights in the neighboring houses. Just stillness. Then I heard it. Hey. It was my voice. Behind me? I froze, slowly turned around. Nothing? Just the open doorway behind me leading back into the house. But it was dark. And I mean, the pitch black void stared back into me. My heart started to race. Very funny, I called out, forcing my laugh. Mom, I know it's you. No response. I took a step forward away from the house, then another. Each step felt heavier, like the ground quite didn't quite want me there. Come a little further. This time it wasn't my voice. It sounded wrong. Close, but not quite right. Like someone trying to imitate speech, like they didn't fully understand. I swallowed hard. Who's there? Silence. Then movement. Not in front of me, but from above. I looked up. I wish I had it. At first, I thought it was a trick of the night sky, a shape against the stars. Then it moved, unfolded. It was way too long, too thin, its limbs bent in places they shouldn't, stretching across from the roof of the house like it didn't understand how bodies were supposed to work. Its head, if it had one, tilted slowly downward toward me. Then it smiled, or something like a smile. a tearing, widening split where the face should meet. My body locked. Every instinct screamed to me to run, but I couldn't move. Behind me, the door slammed. "Get inside," my mother's voice. Not frantic, but she was terrified to the bone. I turned, stumbling towards the house. Her silhouette stood in the doorway, arms stretched out, eyes wider than I have ever seen them. "Now," she screamed. I ran. I tried to. Something wrapped around my ankle, cold, not like skin, not like anything that should be alive. I hit the ground hard, the air knocked out of my lungs. I clawed at the concrete, dragging myself forward. Mother, her hands grabbed me. Her hand grabbed mine, tight, desperate. For a second, I thought I was safe. Then she stopped pulling. I looked up. Her face had changed. Not fear, not shock, something worse. Acceptance. "I told you," she whispered. Her grip tightened once more, then slipped. Something yanked me backwards, hard. I couldn't feel my legs. In fact, everything below my torso had gone quite numb, as if it was no longer belonged to me. The realization came like lightning splitting the sky. I was no longer whole. When I turned, I saw what had been left behind. Then the rest of me was grabbed by whatever being sorry. Then the rest of me was grabbed by whatever being that was deciding my fate. Mother's figure shrank, the doorway pulling away, light vanishing, then nothing. It wasn't like falling. It was like being unmade, pulled apart into pieces that didn't belong to me anymore. She stood there calm-eyed, standing in the doorway, watching. She didn't chase after me. She didn't scream. She just stood there like she already knew. And as the dark closed in completely, I was no more. She wasn't trying to control me. She wasn't trying to protect me. But she never said the worst part loud. If I stepped outside, she wouldn't be able to bring me back. Damn. All right. I kind of messed up towards the end a little bit, but let me just say it was a pretty decent story. You know what I mean? If I could put like some kind of effects in the background, and make it kind of more spookier, it'd be great. But this is like my first time doing this. And to be honest, like the mom did warn her. The mom did warn her a bunch of times that, hey, don't be going outside. Like, you live under my house. Don't break. Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want during the day. But as soon as night comes, don't go outside. And I understand that. We've all been that rebellious teen. Be like, fuck you. I don't want to be doing this shit. But damn, bro. First of all, I know this is a story, but how do you explain this story? You got torn apart by whatever monsters being bent backwards and everything, trying to chase you down and everything. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like this was a good story. It was a good story. So, I mean, I'm going to give it that. But let's try to find another one and let's see if we could get something scarier. All right, guys, we're back with another story. So, we're going to go over the Benadryl Hat Man story. I love the drug story so much. Like that's like if it's not horror stories or the confessions, the drug stories are like my favorite. I love them. I love hearing like people talk about what they see and like what their experiences or like how life-changing things would be. It's just such an interesting thing. But this one's called I Abused Benadryl and I Met the Hat Man. I recently learned that the Hat Man I met while high on Benadryl is something around 20% of people experience while abusing Benadryl. With that knowledge, I like to share my experience with him. Back in high school, I wanted to try literally every drug I could get my hands on. If not just to experience it once, I've heard that enough Benadryl would make you hallucinate. And it was the easiest thing for me to get a hold of. So, eventually, I bought a box and took every little pink pill in it. After about an hour, I was seeing shadow people in the ceiling corners and peeking over the end of my bed. Spiders crawling all over my room. At one point, my television became a giant fog cloud that formed into an eyeball and turned to follow me as I moved around my room. At the time, I was going through a pack of cigarettes every couple days without a single thought. I was a young and I was young and I didn't care about the consequences of really anything I did. While sitting in my bedroom window, chain smoking, a black figure came and sat down on the floor next to me and reached his hand out for a cigarette, so I gave him one. When then sat in silence and smoked a few cigarettes together. It was honestly one of the least scariest things I have experienced thus far during my Benadryl high. After 3 or 4 cigs, he hands me a lighter back and unnaturally twists his head 180 degrees to look into my eyes. I couldn't see any facial features, but I could feel him staring into me. Seeing his head twist like that jarred me. Like I said, I didn't see facial features, but I could just feel his crooked smile. Like, and it, I don't know what that doesn't sound right. Feeling, he says, these things will kill you, you know? Then as soon as I blinked, he was gone. And as I looked down at my pack of cigarettes, I realized I had yet to smoke a single one. I hadn't touched a single cigarette since, nor have I taken any Benadryl low. Shit gives me a bad vibes now. That was a crazy one. Like, I mean, my favorite thing with the Benadryl stories, let me see if I could find another one. But my favorite thing when it comes to them is how they all seem like mm, the trips, they all seem the same. I think what I've heard the most about them is the spider thing. The spider thing, it seems like a reoccurring thing for every people that have abused Benadryl in some kind of way. Like they always say, like, oh, like I remember I took yada yada XY amount of Benadryl, and the first thing that happened was that there were spiders all over my room, where there were spiders crawling all around me and everything. And it's such a funny thing to know that like some drugs kind of like always have the same things. Like I've heard stories of like DMT where they talk about like you meet the machine elves, and literally that's like a normal thing. Like every person that's every most of the stories that I've heard, they always come back to the idea of the DMT machine elves, and like I just think it's so crazy. Like they either accept you in so you can have the full trip, or they either send you back, and like that's just like a crazy concept to me. But you know, I could try to find another one for you guys to read it real quick so we could end this video. But let's find another story. About 5 years ago, just before the drug cartel wars, I took a trip to Mexico with my now ex-girlfriend, other couple, and two of my good buddies. We all lived in LA and drove down south of the border to Rosario for a Memorial Day weekend. After settling in at the beach house we were renting, picking who sleeps where, drinking some cervezas and whatnot, all six of us piled into a car and set out for our first pharmacia we could find. That way we could get this party started right. We decided on Valium, something none of us had tried before, but had heard a lot of, and bought enough pills to last us the weekend. I made a futile attempt to score some weed, thinking that marijuana. Oh God, I'm rusty. Marijuana medicios would get the message across, but was never met with a confused look from the lady behind the counter. We then headed downtown to a party. After parking the vehicle and climbing down a sandy embankment, we arrived at the main street, where all the bars, clubs, and drunken college kids taking a seat at a table in the bar. We started with a round of beers and decided to wash down some pills with tequila shots. That's crazy to be. That's crazy to be mixing pills and fucking alcohol. That's crazy. We each took 2 pills and get up to leave. Then things started to get hazy. I started having auditory hallucinations and can't wipe the grin off my face. That's the last thing I remember from that night. Next morning, I woke up in the bed next to my girlfriend and feel very well rested, but have no memory of the night before. She doesn't remember a thing earlier. Yeah, bitch! she doesn't remember a thing either. What we do, how did we get home? Then we started hearing everyone else in the house waking up. What happened last night? Everyone is laughing at the point because it appears that we all blacked out. Then our friend starts looking through her camera, and there are hundreds of pictures of us doing random shit, buying hats, jewelry, sunglasses from the street vendors, posing with random strangers, riding horse drawn carriages while they look high as fuck. Two of my buddies went to the carnival and won prizes. No one remembers anything. I was just going through the pics and looked like the faces of a rule. Mexican street vendors is priceless. It's a miracle that none of us got mugged or worse that night. What the hell? That's crazy, man. It's crazy that people be doing that. But you know what I mean? Hey, I mean, what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico, right? But hey, if you guys enjoyed this, like, I know it was something different. I want to see if I could keep doing this and, obviously make my reading skills a little bit more better so I'm not constantly messing up on these videos. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you guys already know, you guys know. But anyways, I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.